And Larry Donald now starting to get on his toes. He actually started somewhat sluggish. Was right there. There is the right hand by Dave Dixon. Although Larry Donald took his best punches as a pro, I think, in the press conference against Riddick Bowe. No gloves on, took some
solid shots.
1-2 combination by Riddick Bowe, and actually Donald didn't even flinch. Certainly shocked by it, but it didn't move him.
But here he's got to be thinking, wow, what is happening to me? What is happening in my career? What is happening in my boxing life? Because early in this fight, already Dave Dixon going right to work. But Dixon missing a lot of punches. And he's throwing every one of these shots hard. It's hard to knock out an opponent when he knows he's going to be knocked out. Or when he knows every punch you're throwing is hard.
No amateur career for Dixon. He is actually now learning the basics as he goes along. And certainly throwing some leather that Donald should think about.
Larry must be wondering if these combinations outside the ropes at the press conference of the Riddick Bowe fight, no gloves on, if that has destroyed his boxing ability inside the ropes. In that fight with Riddick Bowe, he was so defensive. He was not happy with his performance because he didn't really fight Riddick Bowe. He just was in there to survive. And in the first round of this fight, looked a little reminiscent of that bout with Riddick Bowe.
Well, we even saw him the fight before Riddick Bowe against the journeyman Dan Murphy, who took Larry Donald the 10-round distance. And Donald did not come off impressive in that. Here's a guy, one time considered one of the top young heavyweights on the rise, but a little luster off of his star after the last couple of fights. But now he's going to get in the ring, try to fight once a month, get back to where he was.
Oh, we've heard that so many times, Al. You know, his problem may be that when Larry looks at opponents, he has no fear of his opponents. He's not even concerned about his adversaries. In this fight, I asked him about Dave Dixon. He said, I don't expect too much. He says, I'm never in a position to get hit. Just another hurdle that I must jump over. No problem at all with beating a Dave Dixon. But when you think that way against the Dave Dixons of the world, not only do you sometimes get surprised by them, you think the same way when you go up and you fight the Riddick Bowes of the world. His problem, he can box pretty good. His problem is not the boxing ability. I see it's some mental concentration. You have to invoke some fear into his boxing. And I know he's too defensive, but he's going into the ring with very little respect for his adversaries.
Donald, who can control the fight from the outside with that jab, stinging, has power on it. Goes back there. Dixon heads right in.
Oh, big left hook from Dixon.
Well, he feels that Donald might be susceptible to a right hand, but he's been scoring here with the left. But Donald looks sluggish, looks slow, not snapping the jab out as much as we've seen earlier in his pro career.
And probably because he has those questions that we talked about in the last round. There's questions about, hey, what is happening in my career now?
He also looks a little heavy. Does not have the look of a fighter trying to pick up and rebound.
Yeah, not really defined. Not really tight, but it's still early in this fight, and Dave Dixon has a habit of punching so hard early that he has nothing late.
Here's the USA's Tuesday night fights. Into the ring in our main event. Al Albert along with the champ, Sean O'Grady. It's a 10-round heavyweight bout. Larry Donald in the black trunks, 28-year-old, originally from Cincinnati. Now fighting out of Maryland, moving his camp there. Shanks Morton in his corner. Steve Nelson and Bob Middleman, his managerial team. 16-1 with 12 knockouts. Dave Dixon from West Los Angeles at the age of 26 in the blue trunks, 18-2 with 16 knockouts. And Mike Chipchin his manager also serving as his trainer. And before this night is off, as this fight continues, we'll send the champ into the corners. Round number 3. Donald trying to get that jab going. He's ranked, he had zoomed in just 16 pro fights to number 5 in the world before walking into Riddick Bowe in a fight in which he was completely intimidated by the pre-fight press conference, by the atmosphere. First time for him in a big fight, and once he got into the ring, never really saw what Larry Donald did to get there. Just wanted to go to the distance after a while.
Yeah, he's been criticized for just doing that, doing just enough to win and no power. And the defensive fighters, sometimes they don't have any power because they're so defensive. There's a good right hand from Dixon, and both of them. I think that was a dog pile.
Well, Dixon, I think, initially tripped, or Donald tripped over Dixon, who then tripped over Donald. And it was a double takedown. Donald nearly crushed by the 259 pounds of Dixon. Both considered slips. It's a good thing Martin Casino, though, wasn't underneath both of them.
Yeah. Well, I think they both took a dive. Dive for the canvas. They saw the Budweiser sign down there.
20 seconds left in round number 3. Larry Donald had gone after Jeremy Williams and Bert Cooper, a couple of the smaller of the heavyweights, and now going up against some of these bigger guys. And we'll pause for these words from your local cable systems. Here's how both heavyweights hit the canvas. Donald essentially pushed down, and Dave Dixon called for piling on. And we start round number 4. The left hand low of Larry Donald, and Dave Dixon has the big right hand. And it's a question of whether Dixon can beat Donald to the punch. He has thrown a couple of haymakers with the right, but getting nothing but air. Donald defensively showing the angles.